So I get on this YouTube video and the guy says, just put the bike over the engine flat on the ground, position and locate the motor mount holes with the engine to the frame, and you should be able to install it really easily. Good afternoon, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about our two main motorcycles that I built over the last 7-8 years. Elvira, which is our 73 Sportster right here, and Little Wing, which is my 77 Ironhead rigid hardtail chopper. So enjoy the video. This is a story from mini bikes, mini trails, all the way to Harley Davidsons. So you know what they say, you gotta start off small. So I started building a mini bike, the kind that I had when I was a small child back in the 60s, and then I graduated up to the mini trail CT70, which I liked a lot about this on Craigslist. And then I graduated up to a Harley Davidson Ironhead Sportster that my dad and I found on Father's Day about 10 years ago, and that started this whole journey. Boy, she was in really bad shape, but I was so excited to have this bike, my first Harley Davidson, that I really didn't even know what I was looking at. I knew it was a V-twin engine. Her fender was all rusty, the primary case was all mangled up, oil tank was rusty, the tires were worn out. The seat looked pretty cool, but you know, overall, it was just a happy day. It was going to be a project where my dad and I are going to work on this thing together. And we had no preconceived notions of where this was going to go. We were just going to do this together and see if it'll all work and we can get the actual bike to start and run. And, you know, up until that time period, I didn't even have my motorcycle license yet. I was going to do an endorsement class a couple weeks later. But I decided, you know what, for $300, that's what we finally bought this bike for. It was really well worth it. And look at that forward controls on it. The brake was all jammed up, you know, and the forward controls were just awful to sit on. But overall, the bike had good bones, and it turned over, and that was really the important thing. I mean, it wasn't a seized engine. It needed mufflers, it needed a carburetor, it needed a starter, it needed just absolutely everything, a chain. So I spent, you know, we spent a couple $1,000s on this thing, maybe even more than that. But it was definitely well worth it. So one of the first things I had to do when I got the red Sportster back, which was supposed to be the donor for Little Wing, that eventually became Elvira years later, was to put that engine into the chassis. And it was really hard because the engine weighs about 300 pounds, and between the balancing the bike, putting it on the kickstand, and trying to put the engine in vertically into the chassis was really difficult. And so I looked online on YouTube, and they said there was a guy that flipped the bikes on its side, put the engine on the side like I'm doing here in the video. And man, it was such a pain. I mean, I couldn't get it in position to the mounting holes on the engine and on the frame itself. And I spent about an hour in 90-degree weather. My poor wife was filming me the entire time. And then about 2 hours later, a FedEx driver pulls up and he sees me struggling with his bike, and he helps me, and we put the engine in the chassis. And later on, I figured out how to take the engine in and out. But that was my first 2 days of Harley Davidson basket case bike ownership, and it was quite the ordeal. So the other thing that I started doing with Little Wing, I started pulling all the fenders and all the metal pieces off to polish it. Everything was rusted. Cam covers, the oil tank, the fender in the back, put it on my buffing wheel and buffed it all out, took the engine out of the bike, and took the cylinder heads off, took the gas tank off, stripped all the paint, took the paint off the gas tank, then started making my own seats, got a seat pan, started learning how to tool leather and made the leather seat for the bike. I mean, it didn't come out perfect, but, you know, for me, it was just fine. The seat looked awesome. And then, you know, moving on, I also made my new rear fender. I didn't know how to weld, so I had some guy weld it for me and made the sissy bar myself out of bent steel. And then this full fire extinguisher that we found, I made that into a little tool kit for the front of the bike, which I always thought was very awesome. Cylinder heads I took off. I spray painted them in the backyard. I powder coated the frame. And then, got the forks extended also to make it a little more of a chopper style. And got the forks all rebuilt, triple trees rebuilt. put the cups back on the frame, got the bearings back in, the triple tree back installed, and then put the forks in. And then at the same time, my friend the welder came over and welded this end cap for the bottom of the fire extinguisher so that could be held. And this is the final result of Little Wing before it went over to the mechanic to have it actually wired, because I didn't know how to wire the bike. So here's a picture of the engine, completely built, all ready to go. Here's my wife putting on the final touches on the oil tank, and we're on our way to the motorcycle builder. Once we got the bike on the trailer after it was all done, as much work as I could possibly do to the bike, we brought it over to my friend Danny's shop in Everett, and he then wired the bike and did some other modifications on it. We also replaced the white wall in the back with a darker wheel. And then he got it started, and I'm telling you, that was like a life-altering moment for me. This engine had not run for about 35 years. It was all in pieces, and here I am, Mr. Amateur Bike Builder, putting the stuff together from YouTube videos, and it actually fired up, man. I couldn't believe my ears. It was just the most amazing thing. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. So soon after I got the bike started, I got my motorcycle endorsement, and I just started riding the bike all over the place. It took a couple months for it to get kind of dialed in. It leaked a little bit of oil here and there. It had a push rod issue that I had to fix, but overall, and I had one electrical gremlin with the battery and a starter, but other than that, for about a couple months after that, it ran great, and I rode it all over the place. Did videos with it, countless videos, rode it back and forth to work. I rode it in the rain, I rode it in the snow a couple times. This is the way the bike looks today, and I just love it. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I put a leather strap over the gas tank, added some other little tiny things, changed the seat a couple times because I kept making leather seats out of it, and put a little pillion pad in the back. But this is the way the bike looks today, and I just love it so much. It's just the pride and joy of my life. Little Wing, in honor of the famous Little Wing song by Jimi Hendrix. That's what I listen to constantly. So the red Sportster was put on the back burner for about a year or two until I got Little Wing finished, and then we started working on that bike, and that took about 5 or 6 years on and off. I was working a full-time job and doing what I could to get this bike finished, but it was just such a labor-intensive project. It had so many issues. I needed to get the forks was made smaller. They were too long. The gas tank was awful. The seat was awful. Just so much spray paint that the former owner put in. It looked really awful. So I had to really rebuild pretty much the entire bike by myself again. Primary case came off, sanded everything down, all the spray paint, powder coated everything black. I had to work on the mechanical brakes because this bike didn't have hydraulic brakes. Took the top end off the engine off, cylinder heads, put new pistons in there, bored it out. Finally finished the engine completely done. Less the push rods, which had to be installed later. And then I spray painted it, sanded the frame outside the backyard, painted that, had the gas tank and the fenders powder coated. Then I had to sit there and spoke the wheels myself, and that was an unbelievably complicated process. It took me almost 2 weeks to do that over a Christmas holiday. Then I powder coated the fenders, and then I got the bike onto the rack and got it almost completed. Then we bring the bike over to Steve's Goodies Motorcycle Shop in Everett, Washington, and he wires the bike up and then gets it started. 7 years building, 30 years in pieces. Our 73 Ironhead Sportster. It's going to hopefully start here. And this is a major moment for us. 73. Wow. Here we go. So after 8 or 9 years, both bikes are now completed. I'm very happy with the way they came out. I love the way they look. These are the two my two dream bikes, a chopper and a conventional old school Harley Sportster. I've always liked the way these bikes look, and I'm just happy to have them in my life right now. And for those of you that want to do your own projects, please be inspired by this video, and hopefully your bike dreams will come true as well. So now let's take them both out onto the highway and see what they're like to ride. They're both quite different, and I'll try to explain to you the subtleties as we go through. So as you can imagine, Little Wing is a chopper, so she requires a little bit more of technique and skill to ride. She's not difficult to ride. She's just a heavier bike, heavy on the handlebars and the controls because of the front extended rake fork. And she is a rigid hardtail, so she doesn't have shocks in the back, no swing arm. So there's springs on the seat, so you hit a bump, you're going to be a little bit cushioned. But all in all, it's a beautiful motorcycle. She's fast. She's not for the faint of heart, and she's definitely not a trainer bike. Elvira, on the other hand, is a 1973 swing arm Sportster with a right-hand shift, where Little Wing is a left-hand shift. And it requires a little bit more technique to shift with your right foot as opposed to the left, but you know, it's just the opposite direction. The only thing that Elvira needs to do better is be able to stop with the front wheel. The front wheel, as beautiful as that 21-inch rim is, it is a drum brake and it doesn't stop very well, so it does need to have the cable tightened a little bit. Other than that, the bikes are great. I love them. I love them both. I ride them all the time. And I highly encourage you, if you're into building your own bike or your own dream vehicle, whatever it might be, continue it and finish it off because it's definitely worth it. So thanks again for watching Realty Ride, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of our two Survivor motorcycles, a tale of two Ironheads. Have a great day. Make sure you subscribe, comment, and like, and we'll see you guys on the next ride.